All right, so are you ready to kind of dive deep today? Because we're heading straight into the heart of the Inca Empire. But this isn't going to be like your average Machu Picchu trip, you know?
Right.
You're already way ahead of the curve here, interested in what the Inca worlds was like beyond all the usual, the highlights and all that. So we're going way off the, what do you call it, the beaten path to a site that's supposed to be even more, well, captivating is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Choquequirao.
It's exciting. Yeah, Choquequirao is such an enigma. It's often completely overshadowed by its, more famous cousin, Machu Picchu. It's so tucked away in the Peruvian Andes, or it's so inaccessible that you have to go on this multi-day trek just to get there. It really captures that sense of adventure and discovery.
Okay, so this isn't just like a weekend trip then. We're talking about a place so remote that it's called the other Machu Picchu.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, we've got stacks of research here, articles for the BBC, National Geographic, even firsthand accounts from, people who have actually trekked there. I actually dove straight into those blog posts. Let me tell you, pictures, stories, the works. And it's more than just how isolated it is that's making people compare it to Machu Picchu.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You're right. It's more than just being remote, right? I mean, the name itself is it's intriguing. Choquequirao. It means cradle of gold in Quechua. I don't know about you, but that just sparks 1,000 questions for me, right?
Yeah.
Was it an actual treasure trove for the Inca? Was it a place of, deep spiritual significance? Or maybe it was both.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got mystery, possible treasure, and this undeniable connection to the Inca people.
Mm-hmm.
But how does this cradle of gold, how does it compare to the icon, to Machu Picchu?
Well, they both share that, breathtaking mountain landscape. They both have that intricate stonework that just screams Inca craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And they both have that, undeniable air of mystery. You see the grandeur of it all, the mastery they had over their environment. But
But Choquequirao has a totally different vibe to it, right?
totally.
It's less crowded, it's less explored. It's like stumbling on a hidden gem, that's just waiting to be fully understood.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. At Machu Picchu, you're sharing the whole experience with hundreds, if not thousands, of other visitors. But at Choquequirao, you're more likely to run into a llama than another tour group. That sense of solitude you get of being completely immersed in history, it's a powerful draw for a lot of people.
It's like choosing between a museum exhibit that's all polished and, behind a rope,
Right.
versus venturing into a tomb that's never been explored. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Both are fascinating, but in totally different ways. So let's get into the history behind this place. From what I've been reading, Choquequirao's story is super intertwined with a very chaotic time in Inca history. We're talking about the Spanish conquest, right?
Absolutely. We have these compelling theories that Choquequirao actually became a refuge for the Inca when they were fleeing from the Spanish conquistadors. All signs point to figures like Manco Inca Yupanqui. He led a really intense rebellion against the Spanish, and they think that Choquequirao might have thrived under his reign.
So we're talking about a potential last bastion of Inca resistance, a place where their culture, traditions, everything could continue even when they were under the threat of, conquest. That's fascinating.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. We still don't know the exact purpose of Choquequirao. Was it this primarily religious hub? Was it a royal sanctuary? Was it some strategic outpost that connected them to the Amazon? Or was it all three? That's part of what makes Choquequirao so captivating. There's no single definitive answer.
It really is like this giant jigsaw puzzle, and we're still piecing together the edges. So let's step into a virtual time machine here for a second. I want to hear about these ruins. What were the Inca architects working with? What did they actually leave behind?
Our sources paint a pretty vivid picture. Just imagine sprawling plazas, temples, and those iconic agricultural terraces they were so famous for. The Andines, right, they were masters at adapting to challenging terrain.
They were just building structures. They were integrating those structures into the landscape as art almost, right?
Exactly. And get this, there's this one detail that really caught my eye. It's these llamas of the sun carvings. Imagine, they're these intricate stone mosaics, 22 of them, each one depicting a llama, meticulously crafted onto the terraces.
Wait, hold on. 22 llama mosaics? What's the significance of that?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's unique to Choquequirao. We haven't found this anywhere else. Was it some kind of celestial alignment thing, a tribute to how important llamas were to the Inca? Who knows? We're still trying to figure that out.
Okay, I'm hooked. This is way more than just the other Machu Picchu. This is a glimpse into a whole culture at a pivotal moment in their history.
And here's the kicker. Only 30% of Choquequirao has actually been excavated.
Wow.
Who knows what other wonders are still hidden beneath the earth?
Okay, so we've got this potential lost city, whispers of gold, mysterious llama carvings. You've got me hooked. But let's be real, it's not like I can just hop on a plane and grab a taxi to this cradle of gold, can I?
You're right. It's not that easy. It's not exactly a stroll in the park. Our sources, I mean, they paint a pretty intense picture of this journey. We're talking about multi-day treks, right? Through some of the most rugged and diverse terrain Peru has to offer. Steep climbs, unpredictable weather. It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, okay, so this is where this whole other Machu Picchu comparison kind of falls apart. There are no luxury trains here, no paved paths. This is like Indiana Jones territory we're talking about.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, what does this trek, what does it do to the overall experience? I mean, have the sources said anything about that?
That's the fascinating part. The journey itself is like this whole other part of the Choquequirao, I don't know, experience story, whatever you want to call it. Our sources describe the heat of the Apurimac Canyon, the crisp mountain air, the just insane feeling of accomplishment when you finally reach the ruins. And it's definitely physically and mentally challenging, but that just makes the sense of reward so much greater, you know?
So it's more than just like sightseeing. It's like a fully immersive thing, almost like a pilgrimage, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And it's not just about like conquering the terrain or whatever. Our sources talk about these like unexpected joys of the trek as well. Like they talk about the delicious meals cooked by local guides, like right there over an open fire, the friendships that are forged between the trekkers, the incredible like stargazing at night. It's stuff you just wouldn't find on some like, typical tourist route.
Okay, yeah, I can see the appeal. You're pushing yourself to the limit, connecting with nature, maybe even making some friends along the way. But have the sources said anything about making this site more accessible? Like, what about a cable car or something?
You're totally hitting the nail on the head there. There's a huge debate going on right now about a proposed cable car to Choquequirao. Some people are saying that if there was easier access, it would be a game changer. It'd open the site up to so many more people, older visitors, families with kids, people with, disabilities.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Not everyone is physically able to go on a multi-day trek through the Andes. But I imagine there are some concerns about, the impact that could have on the site, right?
Absolutely. People are worried about the environmental damage. I mean, construction in such a fragile ecosystem, it's risky. And then there's the issue of the tourists themselves, right? What if this huge influx of people disrupts the tranquility of the site, that sense of untouched wonder that makes it so special?
Yeah, it's that classic dilemma, isn't it? Like progress versus preservation. You want to share these incredible places with the world, but you don't want to destroy what makes them unique in the process.
Exactly. And it's not just about Choquequirao either. It's like this broader challenge that so many heritage sites around the world are facing. How do you strike that balance between accessibility and preservation? How do we make sure that these treasures have a sustainable future?
That's a tough question. No easy answers. And it sounds like it's a conversation that needs to involve everyone. Local communities, archaeologists, conservationists, even potential visitors need to have a say, right? Speaking of which, I bet our listeners probably thinking, okay, hold on, this is all fascinating, but what does it actually mean for me?
Hmm.
Should I add Choquequirao to my bucket list? Should I be booking a flight right now? What do you think?
That's a great question. And you know what? It's important to remember that even after all this research, there's still so much we just don't know about Choquequirao. Like, what else is buried under there, hidden after all these centuries? What will they find when they finally excavate the whole thing?
It's like you said, it's a giant jigsaw puzzle. We have a few of the pieces, but not even close to all of them. And that's part of what makes this place so alluring and mysterious.
I know, right? And that brings us right back to that name, Cradle of Gold. We know it's probably not some literal treasure chest full of Inca gold. But then what other kind of riches might there be at Choquequirao?
Okay, I like where you're going with this. You're talking about a different kind of treasure, aren't you?
Yes, exactly. Maybe the real treasure of Choquequirao isn't about, like, material wealth, but about something way more, I don't know, profound. Maybe it's about the journey, the challenges you overcome, the intense connection to history and nature you just don't experience anywhere else.
You're talking about the kind of thing that stays with you long after you've unpacked your suitcase, right? The kind of wealth that changes how you see the world.
Exactly. And that's something you can find whether you're trekking through the Andes or just exploring your own backyard. But if you are looking for something that will challenge you, inspire you, and leave you with more questions than answers, well, Choquequirao might be calling your name.
I love that. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most valuable discoveries aren't about what you find at the end of the road, but about how much you change, how much you grow along the way. So, for our listener who's been with us on this deep dive so far, what would you say is the most important thing to take away from all of this? What's the gold we should be leaving with after exploring all of this?
It really is. It's like that feeling you get after you finish a really good book, you know? You close the
Mm,
cover, but the story just stays with you. Like it's changed how you see things.
totally.
I think that's the kind of gold you find at Choquequirao, you know?
And the best part is, you don't need a plane ticket or hiking boots to at least start exploring, right? All you need is curiosity and an open mind.
Exactly, you got it. And for anyone listening, if you're intrigued by, what we've talked about today, go check out some of the sources we use. Like actually picture yourself walking those paths, seeing those llamas of the sun for yourself. Let your imagination run wild. Who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to plan a Choquequirao adventure of your own someday, right?
Yeah, maybe you'll be the one to uncover the next piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And until our next deep dive, just remember, the greatest treasures, the ones that really matter, those are often the ones we discover along the way.